Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rick Steves Tours Festival of Europe. My name is Gabe Gunning, and I have the thrill of serving as your moderator this evening as we take an exciting spin through Spain with Rick and a very special guest. And now, without further ado, I would like to turn things over to our tour guide for this evening and for many evenings to come, Rick Steves. Rick, over to you.
Gabe, thank you so much. And we are excited to take you to Spain this evening. And I got to explain that we've had for maybe 30 years an annual tour reunion party where every January we invite everybody who took our tours in the previous year to invade our little town north of Seattle and have a series of parties and events where we celebrate Europe. And we fly our guides in from Europe, and we have an event called a Test Drive a Tour Guide. We rent out every venue in town and we fill it with travelers, and we have our guides come in and share with you their love of travel in hopes that you will kindle your memories and stoke your travel dreams and choose to travel with us again. Well, of course, during COVID, we couldn't fly our guides in and we didn't want to invite everybody into town. And we've decided now to make our annual tour alumni party and Test Drive a Tour Guide Festival a virtual event so people from all over can join us without having to fly to Seattle. And as Gabe mentioned, it's been a wonderful success, and we are going to be joining you every night from now until the end of the month. Every night at 6 o'clock Seattle time, 9 o'clock East Coast time, with this free chance to get together, celebrate Europe. Of course, we're going to be selling tours, but we're also just inspiring and equipping people to travel, whether with their guidebook and doing it on their own or joining a Rick Steves tour bus. So thank you very much for joining us. And right now, I want to just take you to a few slides so we can sort of get started here and remind you we've got a lot of guides that work with us, about 150 guides in Europe, and you're going to be meeting one of them in just a moment. Here's our schedule for the rest of the month. We're on, night number 4 here. Tomorrow it'll be Scandinavia, then Saturday is Switzerland, on Sunday we go to the Italian countryside, and next Monday, every Monday, we have a Monday night travel event, which is something a little more special. And this is going to be an irreverent history of Rick Steves Europe tours, taken back to the Europe through the gutter days. And then we go back to our country by country coverage. But you can see it all there. You can go to ricksteves.com, and right on the homepage, it says where to click and how to sign up. And we're just glad you are here. We want to remind you that every Monday for the next 3 Mondays, we're going to be giving away a tour. Anybody can get one entry a week. So when you sign up for a class like tonight, you tomorrow will get an email, and on that will be a link where you can click and sign up if you want to put your name, your family in for the drawing. But remember, it's just one entry per week per traveling family. And every week we'll draw a prize and we'll give away a tour, your choice, of a 7-day city tour, Paris, London, Rome, or Istanbul. Sadly, we cannot offer this to Canadians. We'd love to, but our government has some very tight restrictions on gambling, and this would just violate that. So apparently we can't offer it in Canada, and there are a few states in the 50 United States that do not let you play this game either. But for most people, we hope you can join, and we're going to have some fun giving away a tour every Monday. But everybody gets a chance to sign up on a tour for a $100 discount during this month. All you got to do is use the promo code that you see right there when you go to ricksteves.com, and perhaps you'll want to join us on one of our tours. I want to stress that while we're selling tours, we're also selling just travel. And we just hope that you can equip yourself with a good guide and turn your travel dreams into smooth and affordable reality. If you want to go on your own, that's a great option. And every evening during this festival, you'll be meeting with a European guide. I get to be a host for most of the evenings, and we'll just share with you the very best way to enjoy this or that country, whether it's with a Rick Steves tour or whether it's just on your own. This is what we call our spaghetti map. I love this spaghetti map because it shows all the different tours that we do around Europe. We have 40 different itineraries. Last year, we came out of COVID, and we're quite thankful that we were able to take 25,000 travelers around Europe on 40 different itineraries. That was about 1,000 tours. And you can see here, we have a great concentration of tours in the center of Europe and Italy. We go as far north as Scandinavia and as far east as Turkey. And tonight, we're going going to be talking about Spain, and you can see that there's 4 different tours of Spain. We'll be checking those out tonight. The best of Spain, the best of Andalusia, Barcelona and Madrid, and the My Way Spain coverage. And if we want to take a look at these itineraries, here you can see, and I'm going to go through this now because we're going to be covering these places in the PowerPoint presentation with Federico, our guide from Madrid, in a moment. But we're not going to be relating it specifically to itineraries of our tours. I'm showing you these itineraries, reminding you that there's seats available for all of these tours in 2023. You can steal the itinerary and just do it on your own. That's what the Rick Steves guidebook is for. In fact, that's why I wrote this book, frankly, is so people can do our tours without us. So you can take that itinerary, equip yourself with this guidebook, and you can do it on your own. Or again, you can take the tour. But you've got 2 days in Barcelona, 3 nights in Madrid with a side trip to Segovia, the historic, artistic, and spiritual capital of Spain, Toledo, through La Mancha, down to Granada in Andalusia, stop at the hill town of Ronda, and then we've got a finale at Arcos de la Frontera and Sevilla. What an exciting itinerary for the best of Spain in 14 days. Andalusia is one of our new tours we just debuted in the last couple of years, and you can see here in 10 days what we would do in the south of Spain, flying into Sevilla and then circling through the hill towns of Andalusia, Granada, and around over to Cordoba. And then you can fly home from Sevilla, or you can take the bullet train back to Madrid. A very exciting way, if you have 7 or 8 or 9 days, is to do Barcelona and Madrid. This is a popular tour, and we'll be covering Barcelona and Madrid this evening. And we have a My Way version, which is about $1,000 less than a fully guided tour. And it gives you the bones of a tour. It gives you the bus, it gives you the hotels, it gives you the breakfasts, and it gives you an escort rather than a guide who's there making sure things go smoothly and making sure you are ready to enjoy these spots on your own. That's a Rick Steves My Way tour that lets you get in on the efficiency and the economy of a bus tour, but maintaining the total independence and economy of doing it on your own. When we think about Spain, we've got so many layers of history. It goes back to Roman times. This is the aqueduct in Segovia. Imagine being defeated by the Romans 2,000 years ago. Bad news, but now you're in the empire. You got stability, and you got the Roman Army Corps of Engineers coming in and building you an aqueduct. So you don't have to carry water into your city anymore. It flows in using gravity. One of the benefits of being defeated by Rome. Of course, later on, the Moors swept in from Africa. And for 700 years, there were Moors running Spain. And we'll see their great palaces, like in Granada and in Cordoba and in Sevilla. Then the Christian forces swept through with the Reconquista, building castles, and you'll find a lot of towns named de la Frontera, on the frontier, as for centuries, the Christian forces of Europe were pushing those Muslims back into Africa. Then we have the rise of Catholic Spain. Ferdinand and Isabella marry their kingdoms together, and from the capital El Escorial, they are the self-appointed defendants of the Roman Catholic Church during the religious wars, and Europe was all embroiled in the Reformation, and there was a lot of stern defense of the Catholic Church by Ferdinand and Isabella. Huge wars going on, and then we come out of that, and Europe is moving into the modern age. Wonderful, wonderful culture coming out of Spain. In its day, the King of Spain was the most powerful man in all of Europe, and there's beautiful art to be seen from those wonderful days. If you go to the Prado in Madrid, you can see the Greco, you can see the Goya and El Greco and Velázquez and so on. And if you're just on the streets, you'll celebrate all the pageantry and the spirituality and the heritage of Spain. You can hardly miss it as you're in Spain and on the streets and embracing the culture of that day. Oh, I can hardly wait to review all of this with you, because in a moment, I'm going to introduce to you our friend from Spain, and we're going to talk about all these delicious delights and how you can turn your travel dreams in Spain into smooth and reality and affordable reality. And now is a good time for me to introduce Federico García Barroso. Federico, I just wanted to set the table there and invite you in. You've woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning to join us. Thank you so much for being in part of our festival here.
Thank you for welcoming me. Thank you, my friends. Welcome to Spain. Welcome to Madrid. Welcome to the Fiesta Española.
3 o'clock in the morning, and Federico is a party ready to happen. Federico, I love that sound. Do that again. Let me hear the sound of a fan. I didn't hear it. Do it again. I want to hear that beautiful sound. There you go. Come on.
There
you go. That's one of those sounds that just gets you all excited when you're in Spain. And tell me about the language, the importance of the fan. It's not just for women, men and women have a fan.
Yes, of course. It was actually a very romantic way, you see, to communicate. Those women, those were in those 1800s, you see, when they were still too shy, they had that kind of a secret language with the fan. Nowadays, it's just a kind of a unisex element just to fight against the heat waves that we have in Spain. Men, women, we all have our wonderful fans all over Spain.
And you can flirt with that thing.
Obviously.
Obviously. Hey, Federico, I'm having a little bit of a Spanish drink here, and I bet you are also. What are you drinking?
I'm having a wonderful Rioja wine, Tempranillo.
Oh,
Tempranillo grape. Rioja wine, one of the best wines in Spain. This is what I have. What about you?
That looks really good. And I was just talking about that. I got to admit, if I'm a little bit off my game here, I just was hosting 2 wine tastings for WGBH radio and TV in Boston, virtual wine tastings. And we were talking about all the great wine in Europe and so on. And we were talking about great grapes. Like if you love a full-bodied Tuscan wine, you got a Sangiovese grape, right? And if you love a beautiful Burgundy wine, you've got a Pinot Noir. And if you love a quality Spanish wine, you're talking Tempranillo, aren't you?
Tempranillo is one of the best grapes in Spain, and here we have this wonderful crianza from Rioja Valley, Tempranillo wine, one of the best.
I think if you go for a fancy Tuscan or French wine, you'll pay top dollar for it. But if you want a good value, the Tempranillo, if you go to a fancy restaurant in the United States, look for a Tempranillo because it's just as good as the French and the Italian wines for about half the price.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's cheaper.
Tempranillo.
So good.
Now, Federico, I am drinking something a little different. It says natural cider from Asturias.
Wow, sidra natural cider from Asturias, from northern Spain. Good choice. Good choice.
And because I've had enough wine already today, so I'm going to move over to my natural cider. It's natural because it's only apples, right? There's no chemicals or anything.
Just apples, nothing more than that. The best apples in Spain, Asturias, northern Spain.
Northern Spain. All right. So here's to good travels in Spain, and here's to you, Federico, for interrupting your night. What time is it in Madrid right now?
Right now it's actually 3:15 a.m., which is fine. It's okay.
3:15. Here we go. Hey, Federico, we're going to go continue our slideshow, and maybe you can help us as we go. For instance, I just love to go to the bars and have, and I've been many times with you. Here you are with another one of our guides, Amanda. And to try the different tapas and the different little munchy plates and so on. And you're holding right there some fine jamón, right? Jamón is quite important.
Jamón is actually, with all my respect to Italian prosciutto and French jambon, jamón español is better, especially when we talk about Iberian ham, Iberico. There we have those hams, yeah.
So this would be a vegetarian's nightmare to come into a bar where the whole ceiling is just mossy with ham hocks. But when you look at this, when I look at that, I just think of a lot of one-legged pigs, But when you look at that, you think of different qualities of ham, don't you? I can see there's just Iberico and Serrano and so on. What do we look for in a good ham?
Well, the best ham is actually the Iberian one. We have 3 magic words. Iberico, it's all about the race of the animal. We also call it black hoof, because that is pata negra, the black hoof of the animal. And finally, acorn, because that is the way we feed the animal.
Okay, so it's how it's raised, and you pay extra. I mean, you can see the price here going from 21 euros for a kilo to 90 to 56. So it really, and it's worth paying extra for good quality if you want a little snack like this. That might be double the cost, triple the cost for good ham, but I would invest in it myself. Life is too short in Spain to be eating mediocre ham. Jamón.
Yeah, of course.
And then if you have been partying and having a great time all day and you're not quite ready to go to bed, you drop into a late night bar, and what do you have?
We have that delicious hot chocolate in Spain that is really dense, very, very rich. That is actually the Spanish chocolate with those delicious churros, thin churros with a little bit of sugar, just a little bit.
Looks nice, and the hot chocolate is almost like pudding. It's like hot pudding, isn't it? It's thick. A spoon will stand up in it.
Exactly. It's thick. It's like a pudding. That is true. And that is delicious and delicious for everyone at any time.
You can have a nightcap, or you can have it for breakfast.
At any time.
It's getting hot in Spain. This is Hotel Europa. That's our hotel in Madrid. And if you're here in July or August, you'll find that there are canvas awnings spread over the street to give people a little bit of shade. But you'll understand why the Spaniards have a siesta in the early afternoon. Okay, let's start with our itinerary now. Federico, we're going to go to Barcelona. Barcelona is the capital of a very proud and affluent industrial zone. Barcelona is the capital of Catalunya. And there's been a little bit of friction, I would say lightly, between Catalan and Madrid in the last few years. What is the latest on the relationships between Barcelona and Madrid?
Well, Barcelona and the rest of Spain, it's actually more political than social. I mean, nowadays people are actually people, and in the old times there was actually some conflict, but nowadays it's rather a political issue, because nowadays I feel really welcome when I go. I am Castilian, and when I go to Barcelona, I feel really welcome. And the people from Barcelona, when they come to my city, to Madrid, I mean, they are absolutely welcome. It is nowadays the situation is much better than it was before. It was a little bit tough before, but not anymore.
Yeah. It was really tough during Franco, because people want to speak their language, and Franco said you can't. But of course now, especially with Europe pushing the individual rights of ethnic groups, regions that don't have a state, nations without a state, we call them, things are getting better that way, thank goodness. But when we look at the map of Barcelona, we see the tangled medieval old plan and then the modern grid-shaped new plan, two different parts of the city, easily walkable. And when we stay there, we stay right downtown. I just think it's so important to have a hotel in the old center. In fact, within a couple of blocks of this amazing cathedral. And as we enjoy Barcelona, if we're out and about on a Sunday morning, what are we likely to see in front of the cathedral?
Those local people are enjoying the local dance, the regional dance called Sardana. As you may see, it has some Greek roots. And it's actually a very popular tradition for some local people in Barcelona every Sunday morning next to the cathedral.
So they all put their purses and their handbags in the middle and they dance around, and it's just a beautiful, delightful celebration of their culture, which again, they couldn't have done back in Franco's time, and a fun chance for the tourists to drop in and enjoy some street music. This is the fantastic Ramblas. And the Ramblas is the grand pedestrian boulevard that goes from Plaza de Catalunya down to the waterfront. And today we can stroll that and enjoy the energy of the city. And we're going to pass there a market. And this is the famous La Boqueria market, but you can go to markets anywhere in Spain and in Barcelona and so on. This is a more touristy one, but they're all a delight. Tell us a little bit about visiting one of these neighborhood marketplaces.
It is fantastic. La Boqueria is one of the most remarkable European markets, I would say. And people, locals and travelers, they just love to enter the markets and to capture the atmosphere of people just eating and meeting other people in those markets it's just an explosion of gastronomical fantasy. It's just wonderful, wonderful.
This is a guy named, his name is Juan?
He's Juan, yeah.
And he's been in my book for many editions. Every time I go, I take a picture of him holding up his picture, and he just entertains the visitors. And it's a great place for a coffee con leche or for a late breakfast or whatever, as you explore Barcelona. Something exciting about Barcelona is the Art Nouveau. And when we're in Catalan, it has its own name, Modernisme. And this is called the Rue of Discord, the Street of Discord, as each rich nobleman or the rich aristocrat would have his money and his architect, and he would make a building that had his own statement. And we go up onto the rooftops, and they're just fanciful. I think the most exciting of the Modernisme architects for me is Antoni Gaudí, and maybe that's because he's the only guy whose name I can pronounce of the great architects of Modernisme. Tell us about this amazing church, the Sacred Family Church.
The Sacred Family is actually Gaudí's masterpiece, and is going to be finished, supposedly, is going to be finished in the year 26, celebrating those 100 years after the death of Gaudí. It's a gem. It's absolutely unique. And there are many other examples of modernist architecture in Barcelona by Gaudí and the others, but this is undoubtedly the gem of Barcelona.
You know, Federico, if there's one building I would like to see in Europe, it is the Sagrada Familia finished. And I am
Yeah.
really impressed that they've really gone pedal to the metal here to get it done as fast as they can. It's very expensive to go in for a tourist to see it. I mean, because we're all contributing to when we pay our admission, we're contributing to the ongoing construction. But this was a beautiful vision 100 years ago. And on the 100th anniversary of Gaudí's death, it hopefully will be open, and that's just a couple years away. But when we visit this church, oh, it's just a beautiful work in progress. And as travelers and tourists and visitors, we can actually get a peek at how the work is proceeding. And inside, you've got this wonderful or lacy, willowy, sinuous, organic sort of sensibility that comes with the Art Nouveau of Catalan. Just fantastic. From Barcelona, tell us how we get to Madrid. What's that like?
You know, Rick, after guiding people so many years all over Europe, I'm happy to say that Spain is offering right now the most modern fleet of high-speed trains in Europe. That's a fact. Okay,
Wow.
and the train is called AVE, A-V-E, Alta Velocidad Española, Spanish high speed. And the same word means bird, because those trains nearly fly.
Okay, and there's no reason to fly right now from Barcelona to Madrid, because by the time you went out to the airport, went through customs, waited at your gate and all that kind of thing, you'd be almost to Madrid. So you just waltz into the train station in Barcelona, and just a couple hours later, you pull into the great city of Madrid. And this is a view of the main square of Madrid from the hotel that we like to stay in with our groups, isn't it? The Hotel Europa. I was just there a couple months ago filming, and it's so great to have a hotel located right in the center. What does this square, the Puerta del Sol, mean to the people of your hometown, Madrid?
Well, Puerta del Sol means the sun gate. There was a gate, a big gate facing the sun, but unfortunately it was demolished in those 1800s. But we still call the place the Sun Gate. Despite we have no gate, the sun is still shining. And I tell you, my friends, that this space of Madrid is being recently totally renovated. And this month, January 23, is going to be a new open space, totally walking area for people.
I love it, Federico. All over Europe, boldly, cities are favoring pedestrians to the dismay of drivers. And drivers are complaining. Cab drivers are complaining. But people are finding that they've got good public transit, they've got good underground, they've got good bike paths, and they've got green, sustainable ways to live their lives in the wonderful urban, people-friendly zones of Europe. I just love the Gran Via. The Gran Via is the Fifth Avenue of Madrid, really. And for me, it's a can-can dance of wonderful early 20th century skyscraper architecture. It's just, there's something that takes me back to a great time in Madrid. And then 5 minutes in the other direction, we get to the Plaza Mayor. You can find Plaza Mayors all over Spain. Tell us about what that means to the spirit of a city.
As a Plaza Mayor is the main square. It was actually the main square in those 1600s. This one in Madrid and another one in Salamanca are considered the two best examples of Castilian classic architecture, and is the epicenter of the old town. People just gathered there.
And people still do gather there. It's so much fun. Whenever I've got some free time, I just stroll on down to the Plaza Mayor and enjoy it. And just half a block beyond the Plaza Mayor, you've got an old industrial age kind of iron and glass market hall that's been turned into a food court. And I've noticed all over Europe, I don't know, in Spain, I think it's the case that the old market halls are turning into food courts. And they're sort of a festival of good eating, aren't they?
Yes, it's another in the same way that we saw the Boqueria in Barcelona. In Madrid, we have many of those small markets, those wonderful buildings from the age of the Industrial Revolution, and now they will totally transformed. And that's the wonderful food court. There are several in the city at the old town. This is called San Michael.
So I'm just thinking, I was just walking through there with you a little while ago, and I'm thinking, if I want paella, there's a place that does paella. If I want a vermouth, there's a vermouth bar. If I want a beautiful shrimp bocadillo, la gamba, I can find that. What else would you eat in this market hall?
Not only Spanish food, you can get delicious empanadas from Argentina. You can get also a very good Italian mozzarella. Or it's a very cosmopolitan market. Yeah.
It's a great place to feel the pulse of today's city. And one thing I've done with you, and one thing we love to do with our groups, is do a mobile feast, a tapas tango, I like to call it. And a tapa is a part of the culture. And when we're in Spain, it's very important if you're going to a restaurant to eat late. You guys have lunch at like 2 o'clock and dinner like at 10 o'clock. And if you want to eat at 8 o'clock, don't go to a restaurant, but you can go to the bars and eat ugly things on toothpicks and wash it down with local wine and do quite well, can't you?
Yes, of course. I mean, Spain is a very foodie destination. The food in Spain is actually quite good, healthy, and inexpensive. And food is basically an excuse to meet friends. When you have good food and good weather, you just go outdoors and you meet friends and you eat tapas, which is a very informal way to eat and meet friends.
So you order a drink, and in a good tapas bar, a drink comes with a little plate of something, and you look at the menu, and you can have some stuffed mushrooms, you can have some gambas ajillo. What is that? I really like it.
Gambas al ajillo.
Ajillo, and
ajillo is garlic.
It is such an easy way for the clumsy tourist to really be part of the scene. I don't speak Spanish. I don't really know all the ropes, but I can belly up to that bar and get a beer and get a plate of, I can just point to a plate of whatever looks good. And you can do that at 3 or 4 different bars, and you can call it a meal, and it's a meal you'll never forget. In this bar right here, I was eating pig's ears. Can you imagine that? Pig's ears. It's all about the cartilage.
It is very crunchy and very unique. Oh, look at that. Wow.
This is one of those bars, I think, where everything costs the same and you just pay for the toothpicks when you're done.
Exactly. One of those Basque places with those pinchos. You get those pinchos. Yeah.
That's a Basque tradition. You just eat to your heart's content. And then when you're done, you count up the toothpicks. And let's say it's €2 per toothpick, and you're out of there for €10 and it's on to the next bar. Here you're teaching me about pimiento de padrón. Federico, I owe you a big thanks for many things, but number one, maybe, along with leading our tours for how long? How long have you led our tours?
Oh, for maybe more than 15 years.
15 years you've been taking Rick Steves groups around Spain, and you've probably been explaining to all those groups what you explained to me, this little bit of Russian roulette, let's call it Spanish roulette for your taste buds. What's the deal with this plate of peppers?
Those delicious peppers, small peppers coming from northern Spain, Santiago, St. James, Galicia. Those padrón peppers, some of them are hot, some of them are not. Most of them are not, but occasionally you just take one, you just bite it, and then you just go to hell. You see, it's just what it is.
Well, so you're going to a fiery crash of tasting. Well, it's you said some of them are hot and some of them are not. Is there a Spanish phrase for that?
Yes, pimientos de padrón. Unos pican, otros no.
One is spicy, the other is not. It's kind of, it adds a little edge to your meal when you don't know for sure when you're going to hit that explosion of flavor and spiciness. Here we have the palace of the king who in the day was the most powerful king in all of Europe, the royal palace. And we can go through that, of course, when we're in Madrid. Yeah. And then on a 10-minute walk in the other direction, we get to the Museo del Prado. And, you know, it's no wonder that when you've got the home of the greatest and most powerful king on one side of the old town, on the other side, you've got the place where you put all the art that they amassed when Spain was the leader in Europe that way. And you've got piles of amazing art there from the day when the Netherlands were called the Spanish Netherlands. I mean, there's great art from the north, there's great art from the east, and there's great art from the south. I was just there with another one of our guides, Javier was with us, and thoroughly enjoyed the museum as we were filming. And it occurred to me as we're working on our art series, we had enough art in the Prado alone to put together a TV series on art. There's so much. You got Velázquez. What do you enjoy explaining to people when we're in the Prado?
We could be there for days. It's just an amazing collection, absolutely amazing. I mean, Jeronimus Bosch, totally unique. Diego Velázquez, who is a mathematical perfection. Goya, who is our classic Picasso, several painters in the same person. I mean, it's a paradise for art lovers. Museo del Prado is absolutely a paradise.
And you know what's interesting to me, Federico? I've never encountered this. In the Prado, I was just there a couple months ago, no photographs, absolutely no photographs. You cannot take your iPhone out of your pocket. Or the guard will say, no photos, put that away. And it forced people to enjoy the art rather than taking a selfie with the art. And I got to say, I was thankful for that. It was a beautiful experience because the art deserves our complete attention.
Yes, absolutely. That is a debate nowadays in many, many museums. And I think that the Prado goes in the right way. I really think so.
And then a short walk away, we get to the Reina Sofia, the Modern Art Museum, and the centerpiece of that, of course, is Guernica by Picasso. And this memorializes the horrific bombing by Hitler's Air Force before World War II, helping Franco quell the feisty patriots of Basque country. And Hitler told Franco, maybe you'd like to use my Air Force and try out this new thing, aerial bombardment. Well, that'll shut him up. And it was the first horrific aerial bombardment in history, sort of foreshadowing the horrors of World War II. And Picasso, like the rest of civilized West, was just scandalized by that. And he created this amazing montage sort of canvas. And it really is the piece of art of Europe for the 20th century. And what it does to me is it humanizes what we callously called collateral damage. Innocent victims of terrible wars. There's innocent victims of terrible wars going on right now all over this planet. And Picasso, with his Guernica, really helped drill that home. That's why this painting here, a copy of it, hangs in the United Nations building in New York City to remind us of the reality of war. What does Guernica mean to the people of Spain, Federico?
It means a lot, Rick, a lot. Some people, when they see Picasso's painting, it just looks to be weird. It's more than weird. It's terrific. It's just a cubist representation about the Spanish Civil War, and it means socially a lot. The disasters of Franco's regime, the war, the fastest coup d'etat, and Picasso was there. Picasso was actually showing to the world the reality of Spain in those days. This painting is absolutely breathtaking and is my favorite one in Madrid.
And we can see that when we're in the center of town. An hour south of Madrid, we get to Toledo. And I always call Toledo the artistic, spiritual, and historic capital of Spain. And when we look at Toledo, it is the king decided to put his capital there because it's contained within a hairpin turn of the river, which gives it a natural fortification. And that would be a great place in the Middle Ages to have your capital. And in the middle of all that is a massive cathedral. And when you step into that cathedral in Toledo, you realize there's enough art there to put any museum on the map. Beautiful art in the sacristy, lots of El Greco, lots of classic Spanish art. And there's something about El Greco. Toledo is the town of El Greco. There's wonderful opportunities to see El Greco in Toledo in situ. You can see just where El Greco was paid to put those great art, those great paintings. And it's just an example of how much art waits to be seen and appreciated when you're in Spain. And in the other direction from Madrid, we get to Segovia. What do you like to show in Segovia when you take a group there, Federico?
The Roman aqueduct. How is it possible, Rick? How is it possible that masterpieces, those engineers in those days in the Roman age, they were able to build up this amazing thing, and it's still alive 2,000 years later. It's still there. It's absolutely breathtaking.
And there's it's hard to envision if you haven't been there, but there's a little square man-made river at the very top of that, flowing for many miles to bring water using gravity into the town. And throughout the empire, Romans engineered these aqueducts to drop 1 inch every 100 yards. Can you imagine that? They engineered that, and they then built it out of stone, and it survives to this day. If I understand correctly, this was a backup water supply system of Segovia well into the 20th century.
It's absolutely wonderful.
There's a great energy on the street in Segovia. That's one thing I remember. And one thing, as guides, we love to make sure people just get out there and enjoy the paseo. I love the passeggiata in Italy, and we love the paseo in Spain. What's your advice for a tourist enjoying the paseo?
Paseo is just simply go outdoors. Just go outdoors and meet people. The sun is always, mostly, shining everywhere. So just go through those walking streets, that picturesque neighborhood, old town, and meet people. That is basically the paseo.
Yeah, it's just great. I think I'm going to take a little break right here, Federico, and I just want to raise a toast to you and thank you for all of the guiding that you've done with us over the last 15 or so years. Cheers. How
Thank
do you
you.
say, what do we say in Spain?
Salud.
Salud. Salud. To your
Salud,
health.
amigos.
Yeah.
Salud, yes, of course. Salud, amigos de América y Canadá.
Nice. How are things in Spain right now, politically, with COVID, with the economy? You're right there in the middle of it. What's it like?
The situation is actually getting better and better and better. I have to tell you, as a tour guide, I'm quite surprised to see how there are so many travelers coming from all over, mostly from all the Americas. We say that the Americas are feeding us because we find here people coming from USA, Canada, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, and so many places. The streets are plenty of people, and people just with common sense and a little bit of prudency, we enter in our public transportation with our mask, and that's it. But COVID is not right now, not yet, we cross our fingers, is not actually a big problem as it was before. Not
Right.
at all. The situation is actually going quite well. I can see that.
Last year, as you know, we got through COVID and it wasn't easy. It was complicated. We took 25,000 people on 1,000 tours last year. 4% of them tested positive and they had to leave the tours, but nobody had to see a doctor. Nobody had to go to the hospital. It just was a inconvenience for them. They had to isolate and they had to go travel on their own. We give people their money back if they have to leave the tour because of COVID. That's something very unusual and generous on the part of our tour company because, it's not their fault that they test positive, but they have to leave the bus so that we can maintain the health and the safety of our groups. But we had a 4% rate. That means 1 out of every 25 people had to leave the tour. We're hoping that was reasonable for last year. The trajectory is such that it won't be so much next year, but we're thankful that things are opening up now. And I think people are feeling pretty good about travel in the coming year. I'm going to carry on with our slideshow here.
Yeah.
When we talk about Segovia, we talk about the roast suckling pig. What is it about a roast suckling pig? A little baby pig that's only eaten mother's milk, and then we slaughter it and eat it.
Yeah, that's actually a little bit cruel. It's actually a bit cruel. We do that with suckling pigs and lambs also. And that is a very traditional part of the gastronomy in Castile, Segovia, mostly Segovia, Toledo, Avila. And then you see how the suckling pig is roasted in those ovens, and they cut the pig with a dish, with a plate, rather than a knife.
It's that tender. It's the tenderest meat you've ever had. And I gotta say, it's delightful. We filmed it a long, long time ago when we went to Segovia, but it was the same year the movie Babe came out. And my producer said, oh no, we cannot show that with Babe in the theaters, but it's a delightful dish. And then we're off into the countryside, and we got the windmills of La Mancha and the beautiful castles of Castile, reminding us of the centuries-long push to free Spain from the Moors from Africa. And we get to Granada, famously the home of the last Moorish kingdom, or last Moorish palace. Granada has a great energy in the south. You walk through the Albaycin, and it's almost like walking through a Moroccan town up in the Atlas Mountains. You've got the gypsy culture and all of that flamenco dancing, which is fun to venture into the Sacromonte district and experience. Just to wander the back streets of Granada is an endlessly entertaining experience. And you find these little platforms, these little patios, that's a good Spanish word, where you can have a sip of a cool drink and enjoy a view of the Alhambra. Look at that. What does the Alhambra mean to you, Federico, when you look at it here in Granada? Look at that beautiful building.
Granada is actually probably one of the most beautiful places in Spain, in Europe. Now I understand why those Moors, they really wanted to stay here. They didn't want to leave. Granada was the last Moorish enclave, and the palace is absolutely spectacular. That is the meaning of the word Alhambra, means the palace. In
the
Arabic.
Palace. And then south of Granada, we get to the famous Costa del Sol. It's quite touristy, but I do like to stop at Nerja. And here we can see the fishermen doing their thing and enjoy a little bit of the beach. Sevilla is the biggest and most important city in the south of Spain. I just can't get enough of Sevilla. It's got some characteristic, it's got duende. There's something about Sevilla that has soul. You've got
Yeah.
huge churches, huge altarpieces, Moorish towers that are turned into bell towers when the Christians defeated the Muslims, and all of that rich history and gardens as the Moorish palace was turned into a Spanish palace. You've got, in Andalusia, I think they celebrate Palm Sunday even more enthusiastically than Easter Sunday, and the whole city is out with these amazing processions during Holy Week. And then we have the April Fair when all the women are choosing the fashions of this year and how many polka dots is in style. And we've got this opportunity to experience flamenco. When I take a group, Federico, to a flamenco performance, even a touristic performance like this, where you have just the greatest hits on stage, it is a riveting and emotional experience. What is it about flamenco? It's just drenched in the history and the culture and the soul of that civilization of Andalusia.
Totally. I mean, there were the flamenco music is originally coming from many centuries ago from India. Those nomads came through northern Africa and they adopted those rhythms, and they finally came into the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal. It's all about passion. It's just an explosion of energy that is really beautiful, not only for locals, also obviously for travelers. Flamenco is really unique.
And I love this shot because I was gripped by this performance. Look at the little girl with the little pacifier in her mouth right in front of the dancer there. She's just being overwhelmed by the power of this thing. I don't even know if it's appropriate for little kids, but everybody is just gripped by this music. And then if you want to go into the pithy back streets of Sevilla, you go across the river. All over Europe, if you go across the river, across the Thames in London, across the Tiber in Rome, across the Arno in Florence, and across the, whatever the river is in Sevilla.
Guadalquivir.
Guadalquivir. You get into Triana district. And that's a district, Federico, where you can just sit down in a bar and strike up a conversation. Would these ladies be upset if a tourist said hola?
Oh, no, actually, you just go across the river and you find the authentic Sevilla. Those ladies are absolutely happy to find a foreigner speaking Spanish and just meeting those ladies and sharing that wonderful moment. They love it. They just love it.
I'll never forget the fun I had across the river. And then from Sevilla, it's a springboard into what's called the route of the Pueblos Blancos. I'm a sucker for hill towns, as people know in France and in Italy. And you got the same thing in southern Spain. Beautiful hill towns with a castle on top and a great history. Ronda is one of those hill towns with a dramatic bridge connecting the old town and the new town. Wow. And in Ronda, you find a city that is kind of the capital of bullfighting, or the historic birthplace of bullfighting in Spain. And today that venerable bull arena is a museum, and you can go in there and check it out. But anywhere in Spain, you can go into a bull bar. In the United States, we have sports bars. Tell us a little bit about a bull bar in Spain.
Well, bull bar is one of those places for people who like bullfighting, and then they see the heads of that bull and the pictures of those matadors, and you really capture the atmosphere of bullfighting in Spain. A good glass of wine, a good gazpacho, and bull stories.
So there's dramatic photographs on the wall, and the story of each bull, and people who are aficionados of that. And if there's a bullfight on TV, it'll be playing live there as people gather to have a beer. But all over Spain, if you look, just peek in the door, and if you see a bar that celebrates that slice of that culture, it's an amazing, interesting experience as you're traveling through Spain. And there's a very rich meat called the rabo de toro, right?
Exactly. In the same way they have in America the oxtail, we have the bull's tail, but that is very tender meat. Yeah. How
do you say it again in Spanish?
Rabo de toro.
All together now. Rabo de toro.
Yes.
Ole.
Exactly. Ole.
Cordoba, another great city in the south. In Andalusia, you got Sevilla, Granada, and Cordoba. Those are the three big great cities. And of course, Cordoba is famous for its mosque, this incredible mosque, and beautiful courtyards. Stepping into the mosque, you see this amazing Arabic style of architecture. And in the middle of that grand mosque, there's a church, because when the Christian forces came in, what do? You put your church right on top of the holy ground of the people who were there before you, and it was just moving on. But when we go to Cordoba today, like many little towns or smaller towns in Andalusia, you'll find people opening up their courtyards to the neighborhood. Lots of flowers, lots of festivities, lots of chances to, just like, we'll show off our garden. In Cordoba, they really like to show off their patios, don't they? And if the door is open, you're welcome to look and say hello.
Totally. That actually happens in the month of May. Those patios in Cordoba are so beautiful. It is more than a local tradition. I can tell how people from all the places in Spain, they go to Cordoba, and those neighbors are happy to open those patios and to show the beauty of those patios with those beautiful flowers.
So the point is, you won't find that in a guidebook anywhere. Snoop around, just walk the back streets, and people have very nondescript exteriors, but the door is open and you're welcome to peek in and enjoy the exquisite interior that they do. Look at this. It's just beautiful. And every time I go to Cordoba, I'm swept away by the festivities and the fun and the culture in the streets. Hey, before we go any further, I want to remind people that there is another corner of Spain that has its own heritage, its own ethnicity, and that's Basque country. And Federico, we're going to come back to you in just a few minutes. But right now, I'm going to cut away to a little pre-recorded message that we did with a guide named Francisco Glaria. And Francisco is a wonderful guide. You're a friend of Francisco's, I think, Federico.
A wonderful friend.
And we got about a 5-minute talk with our friend from Basque country here, and then we'll come back to Federico. But join us now with a friend from Pamplona, home of the Running the Bulls, for a look at the itinerary we have for Basque country, which is a great, great trip. I'm so happy to be joined now by Francisco Glaria. And Francisco's from Pamplona in Basque country, and he's one of our guides that does tours of the Basque region. Francisco, thanks for joining us.
Kaixo, Rick. Thanks for hosting me today.
Yeah. Hey, I want to share with our viewers right now a little bit about the tour that you lead, and which is your homeland, basically. And this is the Basque Country tour in 9 days. You live in Pamplona, but our tour goes both in the French and in the Spanish part of Basque Country. Of course, Basque Country is that nation without a state. It's people who speak Basque. They have a long heritage of Basqueness. And when they drew the line between France and Spain, they ignored that. And of course, the Basque people wanted to keep their culture alive, and it's alive and well as we learn on our tour. Francisco, I'm just going to go quickly through these slides and invite you to give us a little peek at what you'll share with people when they take a Rick Steves tour of Basque Country.
Okay. Well, this is the guidebook that you wrote about the Basque Country. All our tour members will get and have all the information about Basque Country, places, how to reach places, perfect place. One of the most important cities, or probably the most well-known, is the city of San Sebastian. Breathtaking by the coast. We say that God decided to make a perfect city, and that was San Sebastian. Really coastal, but the most important thing, or the most famous thing about the city, are the tapas, the food in the city. Tapas, it's a small haute cuisine food in small portions, very great delicacies, not too expensive. So I always tell my tour members that to go wild, give it a try to something that you've never seen before. It's going to be healthy, it's going to be good. Trust me, if you don't have any allergies, give it a try. Come out of your comfort zone.
I love that. If God made a perfect city, it was San Sebastian, and God must love good food because it is gourmet heaven, I'll tell you.
Okay, this is a hard one. What it says, it reads here on top of this ATM, says, this is not Spain. And this has to do with the separatism movement. Back in Franco times, we were not allowed to be Basque, and our culture was totally erased. Out of hate only comes hate. And terrorism came out of that repression called ETA. That separatist movement started. And the thing is that today, the separatist ban, the terrorist ban, is long gone. There's absolutely no fear about it. But they have become a political branch, and they still, once in a while, believe or understand that we need to get out of Spain. Personally, I don't believe in it anymore, because Europe is giving voice to all of these small regions, all of these small cultures. So we don't need to fight again to be what we are. So it's a big debate.
That's a very good thing about the EU, I believe, is that the capital is in Brussels, and Brussels recognizes ethnic regions as well as political regions, and the small nations without states, like people in Basque Country and Catalunya and so on, they get a voice. And now there's less reason to be upset, but the Basque people still are sticking to their passion for having their culture alive and well. And you've had some other challenges in your recent past.
1937. This is the city of Guernica. Guernica, for us, the Basque people, is where our heart, where our ancestors used to get together. So it's our, I don't know how to describe it, our home. And it was 1937 when the three fascist dictators in Europe got together, Adolf Hitler, Mussolini, and Franco, decided to destroy the whole city. The city was bombarded, total destruction. When the master of Spanish painters, Pablo Picasso, heard about it, he painted this mural. The original painting, it is in Madrid at the Queen Sofia Museum. This is a tile replica that we get to see and try to understand when we are in Guernica.
Guernica, you know, Picasso's masterpiece humanizes what we call collateral damage, because there was collateral damage in history's first aerial bombardment, and those fascist dictators chose to destroy the historic capital that goes back centuries and centuries of the Basque people. But of course, the Basque people are thriving now. One of the economic and industrial powerhouses of Spain happens to be a Basque city, doesn't it?
You're right, Rick. This is Bilbao. Bilbao has always been one of the big economical motors of Spain. We've had huge building factories, iron factories in the city of Bilbao. Now, most of them are gone. And where we have changed it, it's for culture and art, and especially this incredible Franco-Gehry building, which is the Guggenheim Museum of Modern Art.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Look at that. And it's if you want a just dose of contemporary culture, high culture in Europe, you'll find it right there in Bilbao.
I love it.
Now, your hometown is Pamplona, and Hemingway loved Pamplona. It's famous for the running of the bulls.
Yes, my hometown, Pamplona. Here I am wearing my Running of the Bulls outfit. We all wear white and red during the week of the Running of the Bulls, which is from July 6th to July 14th. Not obviously all the Rick Steves tours come during that time of the year, because Pamplona has so much more to offer. Yes, we do talk about Running of the Bulls when we're here, but Pamplona, we have a cathedral, we have so many other things that we learn on the tour. I mean, we talk about religion, we talk about history, and especially we talk about the Camino de Santiago.
Well, that's right. When I was there with you, we saw the pilgrims coming in on one side of the town, and in the morning leaving on the other side of the town as they hiked their way all the way to Santiago de Compostela. But you know, Fran, when I was gathering these slides together that I'm just blindsiding you with now, I found this, and I don't even know what's going on here, but it's on a Rick Steves Basque Country tour. What's happening with your tour group?
Okay, so on the tour, we visit a sheep farm where they produce Basque sheep cheese. And we talk with a shepherd, with Pachi, and when we go into the stables, we always wear shoe caps or shoe covers. And I told Pachi, hey, why don't we put it on the head? Let's see if everybody follows. Let's see if they have a sense of humor. And everybody did. It was the funniest moment ever. Loved it.
And I bet the shepherd is still talking about that crazy American group that put their shoe guards on their head so the sheep would not have any hair in the cheese, I suppose. Francisco, Gloria, thanks for joining us. And again, when you take a Rick Steves Basque Country tour in 9 days, you will start in the French part of Basque Country for 2 nights in Bayonne. You'll go to Francisco's hometown of Pamplona. You'll enjoy the gourmet tapas and all of the beautiful beaches in San Sebastian. You'll stop in the historic capital of Basque Country, Guernica, and you'll finish with the contemporary modern city in Bilbao. It's a great opportunity to appreciate a slice of Europe that is often underrated. Francisco, how do you say thank you and good day in Basque?
Eskerrik asko eta agur, Rick Steve. Thank you very much, Rick Steve. And let's keep on traveling. Let's see if hopefully we'll see you in the Basque Country soon.
I'm on my way, Francisco. Thanks so much for joining us. Happy travels.
Happy travels.
Wow. Federico, just looking at Francisco, aren't we blessed to work with such beautiful people?
Francisco is a wonderful guide. Francisco is a wonderful human being. He's really adorable. He really is.
You know, we've got 150 guides like you and Francisco, and it's a huge responsibility to me when people trust us for their vacations. And if we can give them, put them in the care of people like you and Francisco, that's half the battle right there. So, and it's been a tough couple of years with COVID for all of our guides. Our guides are independent contractors, and you had no business for a couple of years, did you?
Yeah, actually no business. So I was quite lucky just guiding people virtually with a camera, but I was just one of those, not many. Actually, those were tough years. Yeah.
A lot of creative people doing creative things to keep busy during COVID. But last year, were you busy?
Last year, we were actually quite busy and very happy to be busy. Yes, absolutely. We are back to reality little by little, and that is absolutely fantastic.
Nice. Very nice. Well, I'm so glad we're back to reality also. And now I'm going to go to a couple more, let's see, slides. Let's see what we got coming up here. I want to remind people that when they take a Rick Steves tour, it's important when you're comparing tours that compare apples to apples, you know, because every tour company offers a different, selection of things in the cost. With our tour, all the sightseeing is included. There's no extra sales of optional tours. Anything the group is going to do, it's included in the cost. Our groups are small. It's a 50-seat bus, but half as many people, 24 to 28 people. Everybody gets a couple of seats on the bus, basically. You've got the services of a full-time services of a professional Rick Steves guide, like the guides that you see in all my TV shows and with hosting us now with our festival. Guides like Francisco and guides like Federico, guides like Anna, who we saw just a couple nights ago. And you've got also local experts. We've got so many local experts that we tap into as we do our tours. All the group transportation is included. All the accommodations in memorable centrally located hotels. Memorable, characteristic. It's not your predictable high-rise American-style hotels. They're funky. They're characteristic. I love them because they're right downtown. They're generally family-run, and they just are a memory in themselves. It's where I stay when I'm on vacation. You got all the breakfasts and half of the dinners, and you got tips included, which is a big deal. We tip the guides and the drivers in the price you pay, so you don't need to worry about it. And you get tour guidebooks so you can get the most out of your free time. It's just so exciting to be able to host these tours. I do want to remind you that we're going to give away 4 tours during this festival every Monday for the next 3 weeks. 1 tour on the 16th, 1 on the 23rd, and 2 tours on the 30th. And you can enter your name into the drawing. All you got to do is sign up for it. Tomorrow, you'll get an email, and on there, it's just a click away. You'll have a link where you can put your name on it. We are limiting it to 1 family per week to win a tour. And I'm sorry, there's a few states in our country and Canada that by American laws are not allowed to take the contest. They want to protect you from this form of what could be conceived of as gambling. Also, I want to remind you, everybody has access to the promo code. And with that promotional code, you can get $100 off of any tour that we offer this year. And we've got 5,000 seats open out of the 30,000 seats we want to take around Europe this coming year. I want to take you to our website just for a moment, because on our website, we've got a chance to, let's see if I can find the website here. We've got a chance to, is this the website? Let me stop sharing and, is it that one? I think it's this one. No, it's that one. Good. Okay. So with this website, it's just ricksteves.com. And right on the homepage, when you book into there, you've got the travel store. Like, for instance, right now, our calendars, obviously, if you got 2023 calendars, they're on sale. We've just got a couple dozen of our hang-on-the-wall calendars or our page-a-day calendars. They're big hits for travelers, and there's lots of practical information here. You got the American festivals, and you got the European holidays on all those dates. These are half price. We've just got a couple dozen of them left. If you're curious, you can check in with that. If you're curious about our tour program, you just hit tours, and with that, you can go in here and you'll see our festival. You'll see scrapbook contests. We have a contest every year where we give away a tour to the best scrapbook. We've got a chance to meet our guides and watch videos. Most interesting, here on the left, you can see all the different tours that we're selling. So you could just click on Spain, and then you'd see the different Spanish tours. And let's say you're curious about the Andalusia tour, 10 days. And you go into that, and you could find, okay, here's all about the Andalusia tour, dates and prices. And here you can see the dates. You've got a couple of tours that are sold out, and you've got a bunch of tours that still have seats available, and one that's filling up fast. So right there at a glance, you'll know what is still open in our tours. Also, when you look at the website, you can find a chance to see what's coming up on Monday Night Travel, a chance to watch any of our TV shows. If you're curious about Spain, we got 8 TV shows right there. That's 4 hours of Spain. It's just a click away. It's free, and we would love to share that with you. Let me now go back to our slideshow. We're going to finish that up, and then we're going to have some questions. If you've had a chance to ask a question, Gabe is going to do his best to ship those all to me and Federico in just a moment. This is our schedule coming up for the rest of the festival. Tomorrow at this time, I'll be palling around with Pal from Oslo, and we're going to go to Scandinavia. The next day, we'll be going to Switzerland. After that, David Torti joins me from Orvieto, and we talk about Italy's countryside. And then every Monday, we have a Monday Night Travel episode, something special during our festival. Hey, Federico, I think it's time for us to answer some questions. Gabe, I would imagine there's a few questions for us to sort through, and we can pick Federico's brain here.
All right, Rick. Well, you talked a bit about how privileged we are, you and I. It's one of the great joys of my job to get to work with our incredible guides. And we've talked before about what makes a Rick Steves guide special, and we've heard from you, but I'd like to hear from Federico. Federico, Stephanie is asking, what makes Rick Steves Europe guide special? And what do you think sets you and your colleagues apart and makes somebody a Rick Steves Europe guide?
Wow, it's what could I say? It is, I feel I've been guiding people for so many years, and I feel comfortable in this company because this company trusts me, and I trust this company, and that is really wonderful. This is the best company for travelers and for guides, with that perfect combination of group activities and free time, considering each person with different priorities. This is wonderful. This is really wonderful. This is really different. As a tour guide, I have to confess that at the beginning of my career, you see, we all have our stereotypes about different companies, and this one is absolutely different. And that is the reason why we are here. People are wonderful people. I have to say honestly, that most of the Rick Steves travelers are wonderful people, and it becomes a pleasure as a tour guide to be here working with your people in this company. I have to say that.
It's hard for us to advertise wonderful people, but the fact is, the way we promote our tours, we attract a kind of traveler that is a joy to share the bus with and a joy to eat out with. And for a tour guide, I know from 30 years of experience, it's a joy to take them around because they're curious, they're flexible, they want to get out of their comfort zone. They're not there to shop and take selfies. They're there to learn and to have experiences. And from a guide's point of view, that's much more gratifying. So thanks for that question, Gabe.
Thank you.
And because you are such an excellent guide, we have a few Spain travel questions for you. We have Jan, who is wondering, Jan's going to be on the Rick Steves Europe Best of Spain tour, which starts in Barcelona and ends in Sevilla. If she wanted to add a couple days before or after the tour and go to maybe some places that we wouldn't go on tour, what places would you recommend, Federico?
All right, considering that that person is already visiting the highlights of Spain, from Barcelona, Andalusia, Madrid, I would rather choose just a little bit of the Basque country, the Basque region, or also Galicia, Santiago, St. James. Those two places I love northern Spain, and those two would be my suggestions. Maybe Santiago de Compostela, or maybe Bilbao and San Sebastian.
And I think they should be reminded when they sign up for the Rick Steves tour, they get the Spain book. And this book covers both of those regions very well. And you can hop on the train from Madrid and you can take one of those fast trains and do quite well to get to the capitals of those regions and put your own tour together. So that'd be a wonderful thing to do. Also, you know, when a tour starts in Barcelona, right? You could get to Barcelona a couple of days early and do a little more thorough look at Barcelona and Catalunya.
Well, Federico, I actually studied in northern Spain, and this next question is not about northern Spain. It was very rainy up there in the winter when I was there. And the next question I have is quite a few people were wondering, what would be the best beaches in Spain that you would recommend if somebody wanted to build in a couple beach days into their Spain trip?
Well, there is a small secret, a paradise in Spain called Cadiz. In southern Spain, not far from Sevilla. Just take the high-speed train, go there. The most beautiful beaches, the most beautiful mountains, and people who really have fun. People with an extraordinary sense of humor and wonderful Mardi Gras or Carnival parades in February.
You know, Federico, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Costa del Sol is on the more peaceful Mediterranean side of the Rock of Gibraltar. It's not so windy, it's a little warmer, and the beaches are maybe a little nicer. But on the Atlantic side of the Rock of Gibraltar, you get far less crowds. And
Totally.
And you get a beautiful climate and a beautiful opportunity. So Cadiz, I perked right up because I've never been there, and I don't even remember talking to anybody who's been there. Everybody goes to the Costa del, what I call the Costa del Turismo.
Yeah.
I would remind people, if you're thinking of beaches, Barcelona turned its industrial wasteland into a series of beautiful beaches, and I love those beaches. And if you like to go where fascist dictators go for their vacations, where did Franco like to hang out, like for 20 vacations in a row?
Well, Franco used to go to his homeland, Galicia. He used to go to Galicia, you see, and also other places, mostly Galicia. That's the place where he actually went. Yes.
I understand he went to San Sebastian also. He loved San Sebastian.
Also, yes, that's true. Also, he went to the Basque Country. That is true, yeah.
Until he bombed them, but he liked their beach.
Yeah. Exactly.
And Federico and Rick, we have Pauline who is wondering, what are some of the best Spanish festivals that travelers should consider visiting?
Yeah. Well, yeah, festivals. Actually, I already mentioned those carnival festivities in Cadiz are absolutely wonderful because it's a place. We have some spectacular carnival parades at the Canary Islands, by the way, but Cadiz is more about people. You just go and join the party. You just meet people, and I really love Cadiz in those spectacular and traditional carnival parades. There are other places in Madrid city. The festival of Saint Isidro is actually very, very beautiful in summertime.
You know, when Americans hear carnival, we don't quite relate it to it, but we all know Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras, that would be the word.
Carnival
Mardi
is
Gras.
the European Mardi Gras. It's before Lent, when everybody goes crazy, before all that Lenten stuff. And Spain would just get into that, just like much of the rest of Europe. Also, I love the April Fair in all over Andalusia. So it's just, it's the casetas, right? And you just get swept away by that. And I'm not one for big drunken brawls, believe it or not, but I love the running of the bulls. I've been there 3 times, and the running of the bulls, I've never seen a city do a festival so good. The running of the bulls lasts for 8 days or something like that. Every morning at like 8 o'clock sharp, the bulls run. And for me, that seems like awful early for a festival. But then I got there and I realized it's not early, it's late. That's after a whole night of partying. I didn't stay up for all of that, but I saw the running of the bulls. But then there's this routine every day. You have the running of the bulls, you have and the police come through and clean everything up and sweep up all the broken glass. And then everybody goes to the church and they go shopping and they have their dinner. And then you have your crazy drunky fun under the wee hours, and then you have the running of the bulls, and then everybody cleans up the broken glass and they tidy up the place, and you do it again. And there's this wonderful organization as the foundation for all of this gaiety and chaos. I just couldn't believe it.
And then you easily discover that the most dangerous animals are not the bulls, are just those drunk runners.
That's it. That is it. So, if you are interested in the running of the bulls, the only thing you really got to worry about is having accommodations and being in the right spot at the right time. So nail your accommodations, but that's a lot of fun. But Spain knows how to live well. I'll never forget, there's a lot of short, old men with physiques that are like this, a big belly. And it's called the Cuervos de Felicidad or something like that.
Totally. It's the curse of the felicity. Yes.
So what is that in English? The curves of happiness.
Curse of happiness. Las curvas de la felicidad.
A lifetime of just having fun, and you go to your grave with the Cuervos de Felicidad.
Yeah.
Another interesting question came in from Benjamin, and Benjamin is wondering, we talk about these festivals that we like to see as tourists, or going to the beaches, and a lot of popular places are dealing with things like over-tourism. And Benjamin is wondering, how can you enjoy some of the quintessential pleasures and wonders of a place while still traveling ethically and traveling in such a way that's going to be good for locals?
Yeah. Well, just absolutely. With a little bit of common sense, just following locals and doing what locals do. Basically, that is there is no secret. Just go to the right. You have to be in the right place at the right moment, meeting locals. Spain is a country that is really, really, really friendly. Some Spaniards do not necessarily speak English, or they just manage in English, but they are happy to see how foreigners, visitors come and join the party in such an easy way. I mean, no problems about that, no worries. It's actually quite easy to have fun in Spain in the most ethical way. No problem at all.
I think there's an issue of helping an economy with your visit. If you want to do a favor to a country, you travel there, you learn about the culture, and you spend money in ways that will stay with the people in a good way. If you buy into an international style hotel, you're spending a lot of money, and it's not necessarily going to stay in that country. If you stay in a family run hotel, I think it's going to stay in the country more likely. If you go to an Airbnb, if you care about this ethic of travel, you got to remember, staying in an Airbnb drives the cost of rent up, so it drives the people who are pensioners and on a fixed income out of the charming center to the less characteristic concrete suburbs, and the tourists get all the charming areas, and the character of that whole neighborhood changes. Frankly, that's what's happened to the Ramblas. The Ramblas was beautiful because there was a community there that made it live, and it had a flower market, and it had a bird market where the grandmothers would take their granddaughters to buy a bird. It had a market, the Boqueria, that served the needs of the local people. And now the Airbnb system, has really let landlords know, if you want to make some serious money, don't rent to locals, rent to tourists, and that drives up the cost of rent. That drives out the characteristic regular neighborhood to the suburbs, and it just leaves you the gutted remains of what used to be a charming street, the Ramblas. So that's a tough ethical issue, but think about how you spend your money and where it's going to stay. Think about celebrating the local culture. Think about being a cultural chameleon. Don't be interesting, be interested. Learn from that culture, and then go home with a better appreciation for it. That's the best way you can have a positive impact on a society, I would say.
And if you're interested in learning more about being an ethical traveler, one of our Festival of Europe shows on Monday, January 23rd is going to feature Rick and our Rick Steves Europe COO, Craig Davidson, talking about these issues.
Yeah, I was just polishing up part of my delivery for that night in the last 3 minutes. So we're going to talk the ethics of travel, and it's a very important topic, and that includes climate change and traveling in a way that is ethical from a climate point of view, which is a big and important issue, and I don't want to shirk that. We're going to hit it straight on with some candor and some great solutions. So that is an important part of this festival, and as you said, that's Monday, January 23rd.
Yes. For now, though, we have time for just one more question. Federico, this question comes from Gabe in Seattle. I did a Monday Night Travel show with you last month, and I loved hearing you talk about how you've seen your country change and evolve over your lifetime. I mean, it's a country where a civil war is still in fairly recent memory. And I would just love for you to share, how has Spain changed during your lifetime?
Wow, how much time do I have? I just have to say that I'm not. I have to say I'm not actually a person that is this deeply proud of my Spanish roots. I just have to say that I'm happy to live in this country. You know, to be Spaniard and to live in this country, because in the last years, I mean, this country is a wonderful place for people. It's a wonderful place to live. A place where we do care about public health care, public education, and social rights. I mean, Spain is actually a very important country to consider in that way, in European terms, and we are actually a good example for our Spanish speakers, our friends in Latin America. Spain is a really good country. I'm thinking about social services. I'm thinking about that quality of life. If we just find human, social, and economical resources, we can actually see that Spain is a wonderful country. I really have to say that. Yeah, I'm happy about that.
You know, Federico, I can certainly applaud that and affirm that from my experience with Spain. And I remember back after the terrible economic troubles of 2008, when there's almost no tourism in Spain. And I've got a lot of friends like you who are guides, and there was no work except for the government's commitment to making sure the seniors and the children get out. And a major source of income for tour guides, when there was no international travel hardly, was government programs that helped seniors get out and about and helped little kids get out and about, because the government recognized the needs of people who were struggling in your own community, and the guides were right there to help out. Hey, Federico, I am just so thankful for 15 years of you helping our groups get so excited about Spain. I've been to Spain many times in your care, and you've been instrumental in our tour program, instrumental in producing our TV shows, and instrumental in making sure our guidebook is the most lovingly updated guidebook on the bookshelves these days for people from the United States traveling to Spain. I know it's late, but I guess it's not late for you because you're a Madrileno. You stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe.
Actually, we are the cats of Spain. Madrilenians, we are called the cats of Spain because we enjoy nightlife. So this Spanish cat is just wishing you all the best. It's right now here in Madrid, in Spain, 4:15 a.m. and I'm still happy, a happy cat to wish you all the best. Amigos de América y Canadá, thank you very much indeed. Muchas gracias, amigo.
Salud, my amigo. Very nice, very nice. Oh, as always, I've learned a lot and I've been inspired a lot by Federico. I want to thank each and every one of you who join us during our festival. I want to remind you, we've got another 25 days, our 20 days of traveling like this every night at 6 o'clock. We got some great travels coming up. Please, you know how to get on board. We'd love to have you again. Thank you so much and happy travels.
Thank you, amigos.
Good night, Federico.
Good night. Thank you, my friends. Thank you very much indeed.
Good night, Gabe.
Good night, Rick. Good night, Federico. Good night, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you in Scandinavia tomorrow.